You are tuned in to Kids
In the Pit.
Hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids of the Pit podcast. Today I'm joined by Shane Told from the band Silverstein. I saw you guys in Wilmington, Delaware last month, and your set was so much fun. Thanks so much for doing this interview.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for having me. I'm really, really excited to be on the show.
Cool. So, what do you do in Silverstein?
Well, I sing in the band, and that's my main role, singing and screaming. But I do play guitar. As you can see, I've got a couple guitars behind me, and I got about 23 more upstairs. So I'm also a guitar player. So I play acoustic guitar on stage sometimes, and I sometimes record some electric guitar for the band, some stuff that I've written, for the band. So I'm a bit of a low-ranking guitar player in the band as well.
Cool. So, how long has Silverstein been a band?
We've been together for this is our 24th year. We started in 2000. So, yeah, we've been 23 years into our 24th year. Pretty crazy. Released 10 albums over that time, and I don't know exactly how many countries we've been to, but something like close to 50.
Wow,
So it's
crazy.
it's been pretty crazy. It's been a long haul. Definitely when we started, I don't think we ever thought we'd still be at it all these years later.
Yeah. I saw a video on YouTube of you guys playing in Manila, Philippines, and it looks
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, Philippines is crazy. So, for years, we were touring kind of wherever we could, to go to new countries. So I remember the really like the first crazy offer we got was to go to Australia. And when we got there, we were just so surprised people knew who we were because it's so far away. And then we'd heard rumblings that the Philippines, we had a lot of fans there, but we had no contact, to try to set up a show or anything there. So it wasn't until Facebook came out, whatever year that was, and we saw like the stats of where our followers were from. And the number one country was USA, and the number two country was Philippines.
That's crazy because Philippines is so
So
tiny.
yeah, well, a lot of people live there actually. It's
True.
they have quite a big population. It's a very small, group of islands, but quite a few people live there. But we were floored. So we were trying to do whatever we could to go there, and we ended up playing there. But we've still only been there twice. But that show that you're talking about was it was happened right before COVID, and it was pretty crazy. And in fact, while we're on the topic. While we were on stage at that Philippines show, a volcano erupted in the Philippines.
What?
Yes, and the ash, I guess, like went up in the atmosphere, and we were stuck there for I don't know 3 or 4 days because no planes could fly in or out of the island.
That's
So we
crazy.
didn't know how long we were gonna. And we ended up there for we were there for a few days until we could finally get a flight, and we had to fly the wrong way to get out. It was crazy. But yeah, Philippines is awesome.
So did you guys go west instead of east? Did you go through
Exactly. Yeah. We had to go. So okay, I'll tell the whole story. So the original airline that we were flying on, we were trying to go to Hawaii, but they were grounded all their planes because they said it was too dangerous to potentially fly through the ash because I guess it can just like straight up melt the plane engines. So
Wow.
we ended up taking a sketchy airline based out of Taiwan that I guess just went the other way around. And then we
Oh,
went to Taiwan, connected in Taiwan, and then went Taiwan to Hawaii. to get back towards North America. It was pretty insane.
That's crazy. So, where's
Well,
Silverstein from? And do you all still live there?
so we're from the Toronto area of Canada. So we always claimed Burlington, Ontario, which is a suburb of Toronto, because none of us are really from Toronto originally, and we didn't start the band there. So we felt like saying Toronto was sort of untrue. Not to mention, we had such a great music scene in Burlington that we kind of wanted to represent it when we were coming up. We didn't want to just say, "Oh, we're from Toronto," because everyone knows that city. So that's why we claimed the suburb of Burlington, where we actually started the band, where we actually practiced. But only one of us still lives in Burlington. Our drummer, Paul, he still lives in Burlington. I'm currently in Las Vegas, actually.
Oh, so you're not even in Canada anymore.
No, I've recently, well, I'm still in Canada all the time.
Oh yeah,
Obviously ties and family and everything, but I'm spending a lot of time here in Las Vegas and really enjoying it.
cool. Yeah, Las Vegas looks cool. So you're
It's
my
crazy
favorite.
place.
Yeah. So you're my favorite singer that can both sing and scream really well. If you had to
Thanks.
lose the ability to scream or lose the ability to sing, which one would you choose to keep?
Whew, what a question, man. I really don't want to lose either one. Um, but I will say this, man. Screaming is difficult, especially when you have to go on tour and play, night after night and be on stage for like an hour and all the traveling and sleeping on the bus and, all the difficulties of it. The screaming part definitely takes its toll. And there are definitely days when my voice is a little raw or whatever that I'm like, man, I just wish I had never even started this screaming business.
Oh,
Um, because it's hard. It's hard. It's taxing. And I remember when I first started doing the screaming, my mom, who I'm very close with, she kept saying, "You're gonna wreck your voice. You're gonna wreck your voice. You're gonna wreck your beautiful singing voice." And so far, I haven't. But
yeah.
I'd say if I have to give one up, I would give up the screaming.
Cool. Because yeah, makes sense because like most of the Silverstein stuff is like screaming. I mean, no, singing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think singing there's a lot more. I mean, it's kind of like singing is kind of like chess and screaming is kind of like checkers in a way, right? Like
Yeah.
with screaming, it's like it's about obviously the lyrics are in both and the rhythms in both and the expression is in both, but obviously with singing, there's more of a pitch, or there is pitch, and there's a lot more expression. I think that can be in singing, at least for me. But believe me, there are some amazing screamers too, and yeah, there's people I hear all the time that just blow my mind with how good they are.
Yeah. I think I'm better at screaming than singing because I've sung on stage with a few bands and like I'll like they're usually like screamy bands like
Right.
Madball's kind they're kind of like screamy kind of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's different too, right? There's like some hardcore bands. It's like not exactly screaming. It's kind of more like a yell. Like you're wearing a Bane shirt.
Mhm.
Bane is a great example. Like Aaron, I know he was on your show too. He hasn't been on my show. I'd love to have him on my show, but they they have like a yelling kind of thing. It's almost like a more of like a monotone kind of like pitchy scream, where it's not like guttural, like you know
Yeah.
when you think of like Pantera or something like that, like more metal. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. But I will say this, Gabe, with singing, I think it takes a lot more time to develop, especially just working on your pitch and your ability to sing the notes in key. That as you like grow and you grow into your body a little more and you grow into your voice, that will get better and your tone will get better too. Because you're still young, so you're
Yeah.
still like you're still growing. So don't give up on singing because believe me, I was not a good singer when I was a kid. In fact, I've got a yearbook around here somewhere where the comments in my grade 7 or grade 8 yearbook say, "Too bad you can't sing." So that's what some people said to me back then, and looks like I proved them wrong.
Yep. Yeah. I can kind of sing, but yeah, like I said earlier, I'm definitely better at screaming so far. But
Yeah.
there's some songs that I listen to that are more singy. Swan Song by Bane that has like a singy part that
Yeah.
Zach does.
Oh, I love Zach.
He's
Zach
awesome.
actually works. Zach actually works for our band.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
got us on the guest list for the show, so
Oh
because
yeah, he's the
it was
best.
sold out.
Yeah, he's the best.
Oh yes, since you brought up Bane, Zach says hi. So
Hey Zach. Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I'll text him after this.
and he said that your favorite. I mean, he said that you really like Bane. So what's your favorite Bane song?
Oh man. Well, can we start again is way too cliche an answer, but I did have an email account. Actually it wasn't me. It was my friend had can we start again at hotmail.com, I think, or at gmail.com. That was his email address that I thought was pretty good. But no, I think for me, the entire Bane Give Blood record is probably just it's probably my favorite one. I think when they put that record out, it was big game changer in hardcore. So I don't know, pick a track off that record. It's hard to
Okay.
remember all the names.
Mhm. So my favorite Silverstein song is "Smile in Your Sleep." For those wanting to check out Silverstein, what song do you recommend they listen to first? And do you have a favorite Silverstein song?
Thank you. Smile in Your Sleep's a pretty good place to start, I guess. That was a big turning point for our band when we put out that song. It was the first single that it came up before Discovering the Waterfront was released. And then that song, I mean, we were playing it live before the album came out, and people didn't know it, and we're still going crazy to it. So I think there's something to be said for that song having all the staying power, and obviously transcending generations if it's your favorite too. So I think that that's a good answer. I think I'll go with that one. And in terms of my favorite, oh boy, man, I would say probably one of the songs I'm most proud of um, is maybe as a band is the Alter Mary, that we were able to put that thing together. Um, it's just such a crazy song that took so much finagling and so much of us just getting together in a room and trying out different things and different tones and textures. So I think that's a song I'm pretty proud of. Both the excuse me, both the uh, I don't know, both the concept of the song and the production and the way it all came out in the end.
Cool. So I live in Delaware and was so excited to see a show here. And there are rarely shows in Delaware. So did you
Yeah.
do anything fun when you were here in my state?
I have a bit of a personal Delaware story. And I first of all, to answer your question, not really.
Yeah, because there's
We
nothing
were in
here.
Delaware, and we never played. We played in Wilmington. We played in Delaware before at the Harmony Grange,
Oh yeah.
but we never played like downtown. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll like take a walk around. But it was a bit of a dicey area, I found.
Yeah.
So like maybe not the best area to walk around and like try to find something cool to do. So I didn't get up to too much that day. But what's interesting is my dad worked for DuPont for his entire career. In their head office, they're a big company, big chemical company, among other things. And their head office is in Wilmington, Delaware. In fact, Milo from the Descendants also used to work at DuPont in
Oh,
Wilmington, Delaware.
because
Uh,
I
and I
even
worked there actually too as a summer student in uh, well, when I was in college before, like when Silverstein had just started. So I worked at DuPont too. But when I was a kid, my dad had a job offer to move to Wilmington, Delaware to work at the U.S. Head office. So we actually went down to Delaware and we looked around at houses and we were going to move there when I was about your age, Gabe. And it didn't end up happening. My older sister was like, "Oh hell no," and
Yeah.
we didn't end up moving to Delaware. I always think about how different my life might have turned out if we had moved there. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
there's a great scene in Philadelphia and everything, but I don't know. I don't know if I would have developed the same way in my love for music and everything. I've thought about that a few times.
Yeah. Uh, I think you said something about you guys moving to Delaware on stage at the show.
Yes, you're right. I did mention it. I think very quickly, but that's the full story
Yeah.
because I'm sure on stage I didn't have time to really break it down.
Hmm. And also, you might have been in Boy Sets Fire.
Right? I mean,
Mhm.
maybe they're definitely the kings of Delaware, aren't they?
Yep.
I can't think of many other bands from Delaware, but Boy Sets Fire are awesome, and they are so close so close with us. We are such good friends with them. In fact, just this past weekend, we were in Europe at the Rock am Ring Festival, and unfortunately, we weren't on the same day as Boy Sets Fire. Or I know we would have hung out with them like literally all day because they're the best people. They're a bit older than us, so I don't know if I would have been in the band, but who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. So like you're saying about Milo, I interviewed him last year in person because he lives in Wilmington. So
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
yeah, I heard that I think it's because his wife moved to, they moved to Delaware because his wife went to, what's it called? UD.
Teachers.
Yeah, she taught at
Oh yeah,
college.
that's what he said. Well, I know that he used to work for DuPont, and obviously everyone knows. I mean, Milo goes to college, and then he was doing all that, sciencey stuff. And he told me on my show that he went to. I like that. There you go.
This was my Halloween costume.
I bet you had a lot of questions about what that was.
No one knew. Wait, one person knew actually.
One of my favorite things to do on Halloween is when all the kids come to the door, I always ask them all what they are, and then I write down each kid that comes to the door, and then I see how many Spider-Mans and how many Batmans, and
Yeah.
and then and then sometimes kids say really funny things like, "What are you?" And it's like, "I'm a crazy murderer." All right, I'll write it down. Crazy murderer.
Yeah.
I love Halloween.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was like one of the only Milos because
It's a great Halloween costume. It's a
Mhm.
really good Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Milo,
So
isn't Milo such a nice guy? What a great guy.
yeah, he's awesome. It's funny because like their lyrics are really funny too. Like talk about defecation and farting, and it's funny.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you never know. You never know what you're gonna get in a Descendants song. But Bill Stevenson writes a lot of those songs too.
Mhm.
He'd be a great guest too.
Mhm. So what was the first punk, hardcore, or metal show you attended, and how old were you?
I love this question. Well, the first show I ever went to, the first show I ever went to, I went to see Bruce Springsteen with my parents. I was probably 10 or 11. I was very bored. I fell asleep. It was like 3 hours. Wasn't into it. But then the next year, Metallica came through, and I was really into Metallica. And the bill was Metallica with Danzig and Suicidal Tendencies.
Suicidal? That's awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
So
Suicidal
the
Tendencies.
first band I ever saw other than Bruce Springsteen, which I didn't care about. The first band I saw, a show I wanted to see, was Suicidal Tendencies. So
Cool.
I was probably, how old are you, Gabe? Are you 11?
11. Yeah.
11. So I would have been 11 or 12. I think I was 12. I think it was 93.
Cool.
And so I was 12. And I went, my older sister, older sister is 7 years older than me. So we went together. She took me to the show and walked in to Suicidal Tendencies. And I never heard them before. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm really excited. And then Mike Muir went on this rant where he was saying stuff like, if you do what you want and what you believe, that's being suicidal. And I was thinking to myself, doesn't that word mean you want to kill yourself? And I was like, this is really, really strange. But I love them at the time. And Danzig was super cool, obviously. And Metallica was my favorite band and changed my life. So that was the first, I guess that's kind of a punk show, but yeah, I mean, that was definitely the first metal show I ever went to. And then I'm trying to remember the first real punk band I saw. I mean, it was mostly local shows where I would see a lot of punk bands. So I don't know what the first one I saw would have been after that. I can't really remember.
Cool. Wait, so Metallica with Suicidal? Like, Suicidal's big, but when I think of Metallica show, I think of like a stadium. Like, was it like?
It was at a venue called Molson Park. So it was like a big outdoor venue.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have no idea how many people were there, but like probably at least like 30,000.
Yeah.
Like it's a big place. Like they used to do Warped Tour there, but it wasn't in like an amphitheater shed stage. It was like a big open air like field. And it was Suicidal opened, Danzig and Metallica. And that's probably how Metallica met Rob, who's their bass player now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's the new bassist, which is cool.
Yeah, he's been in the band for 20 years, but he's the new bassist.
Well, but like when you think of him, he's like when you think of Metallica bassist, you usually think of like Cliff Burton. So like speaking, he's not new, but I think he's been there since a long time. But
he's been today actually, because I was on Instagram earlier. Today is the 20th anniversary of Saint Anger coming out.
It is?
Today. Yeah, 20 years. And that was the first record. I think he joined right after.
Oh.
I don't think he played on Saint Anger. I think it was Bob Rock, but he's been in the band for 20 years now, which means he's the longest serving bass player of Metallica because he's in the band longer than Jason Newsted too.
Oh. Yeah, I don't really like the Metallica albums after Injustice for All, really. And I heard that. What?
That's the punk. That's the cool punk opinion. I love the Black Album. I think the Black Album is terrific.
Yeah,
but
still good.
Master of Puppets is always going to be number one. Ride the Lightning's terrific too.
Yeah, love Ride the Lightning.
I don't even like Injustice for All that. Like it's okay. I think I like the Black Album more than Injustice for All, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But you're right. After that, it got pretty dicey.
Yeah, it got there's a ton of people that like it, but it's not really my kind of style after that.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, it was completely different. It wasn't the same, brand of thrash metal they were doing. Although they do, it's funny because the last couple records, I always listen to the records. Usually, at least once, I'll give them the respect to listen to it. So I listened to the new one, which I didn't think too much of, but the one before, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I think it was called. Yeah. The first song on that and the last song on that, both are pretty cool and both kind of sound like they could have been on like Kill 'Em All or Ride the Lightning or something. So I kind of like those songs.
Okay. I haven't heard them, but I guess we'll check them out.
Yeah, the first song and the last song on Hardwire are kind of cool.
Cool. So what are some of your favorite bands to listen to recorded and what are some of your favorite bands to see live?
Oh, I love that question. So one of my favorite bands to see live is Anti-Flag.
Oh
I
yeah,
think they're what's that?
I like them. They're good.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're just one of the best live bands, really, of all time. And I've been seeing them for so long. I saw them play when I was in high school, and I mean, they're only a couple years older than me. So they were like, kids my age, like there. And I just remember they'd had some incident like with the police that day, and like, they were talking about it or whatever. And then they were like revving the crowd up. And then they were like, and this song's called Fuck Police Brutality. And they just went into it. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the circle pit. And they just had that back in the late 90s. And they still have that energy, and every show they do is different. Every show is phenomenal. And like, even though they've become such close friends of mine, they're still one of my favorite bands to watch. And I think their records are great too. And I got to sing on their last one, but live, they're phenomenal. Um,
You sung on the new one?
yeah, I did. I did a guest vocal on their new album.
Oh, which song?
It's called, oh, you're putting me on the spot. What is the song called? Ugh.
If you don't remember, we can just go through
It's
it.
called, it has like a name that's like live. Oh, it's like live, laugh. I don't know, something like that.
Lies they tell our children.
That's the album, yeah.
Oh, laugh, cry, smile, die.
That's it. Laugh, cry, smile, die. That's why I couldn't remember it. I was like, it's four words. So it's a great record though. And to answer your question about recorded bands, oh man, I mean, there's just so many good ones. I think like when I think of like true studio bands, when it's like, oh man, this is just so good. It's tough. It's a tough answer. I'm trying to think of someone that's really consistent, that hasn't like put out any records I don't like, or but it's hard. I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. So, what is your favorite place you've toured in?
Places to tour?
Hmm.
Well, definitely Southern California has always been so good to us. And it's always such a nice break on the road, usually from the weather. We tend to do a lot of touring in the wintertime. And a lot of times, like, you're in like Utah or you're in Denver, and it's like horrible, horrible cold weather. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we drove like for a day and a half, and now we're in Anaheim, and it's like beautiful, and the show's amazing, and we're like eating all this Mexican food that's awesome. It's just, I always love going there.
Hmm.
So it's always been a favorite. I think Chain Reaction, obviously legendary venue in Anaheim, the first place we ever sold at a show. So I think we just have such a great history there that we love going there. But also Germany is one of the best, and Australia is so much fun. And I love Japan because it's just so different. So those are I'd say those are my favorites, but there's so many.
Hmm. Most people say Japan. Japan's really cool.
Yeah, it's so radically different from what everything that we're used to, and some of the little things are just really, really cute and really neat. Like we did a tour there one time where the entire tour like itinerary was to the minute.
Oh
So it was
wow.
like, yeah, it was like, oh, the train gets in at 9:51, and it's a 15-minute ride or a 16-minute to ride. So you're there at like 10:07, and it was like all like that the entire tour. And we're like, that is the most Japanese thing ever, because they're just so on top of everything, so
Yeah,
organized.
cool. Yeah, I really want to go to Japan someday. It looks awesome.
Absolutely.
So, what is your favorite type of food from another country?
Oh wow, these are cool questions, Gabe. I really like these. So I love Asian food generally. Like if I can find a good Thai place or a good Vietnamese place, I'm kind of in heaven. So, um, In fact, there was this. So I love one of my favorite Thai dishes is a tom yum soup. I don't know if you've ever had it, Gabe,
Yeah, I haven't.
but it's. Do you like spicy food?
Uh, to a degree, because I can't handle it super well, but I do
Sure.
like spicy stuff.
As you get older, you'll start to get you can get accustomed to it. Definitely, like I couldn't always handle it either. Sometimes I still can't handle it, but I love this tom yum soup. It's like a spicy. I don't know. It's sometimes they call it hot and sour soup. It's like a spicy, a clear broth soup. It's I usually opt for like a vegan version. But sometimes it's made with like fish and shrimp, but I usually get like a vegan version that has tofu in it, and usually mushrooms in it or whatever. And it's quite nice. And there was a place near my house that made the best tom yum soup, and it was really unique. Like it didn't quite taste like any other tom yum soup I had before. So one time, got off tour. It was like kind of a long tour, and I was tired. And I was like, all I want is this soup. So I drove there, and the place was gone, like shut down. Like the sign was off, and I was like, it was like heartbreaking because this was the only place that did it like the way I like. So you know what I did? I became a tom yum soup expert. And I went to the Asian grocery store and I got all the stuff I needed and I started making my own. And over the years, I'd like to say I've kind of perfected my own tom yum soup recipe. So, yeah. So if people want good, and can make some other Thai food too now that I have that knowledge. So people want some good Thai food made from scratch, nothing frozen, all fresh. Yeah, come over. I got you.
Yeah, you need to open a restaurant.
I don't know if I have any more time to do anything, but I would love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stick to music, I think, for now. But I love where your head's at.
yeah. So, what was your favorite TV show and movie when you were my age?
Oh wow, okay. So when I was 11, oof, I'm trying to remember. That's a hard question. When I was like really little, I loved He-Man. That was my favorite show for sure. But then as I got a little older, so what year would it have been? Like in the early 90s? Wow, hard to say. Man, that's a tough question. I loved one show I really liked, cartoon show, was My Pet Monster. It was
Yeah.
a Do you know it?
No, I don't.
So I don't think it was Canadian. This is another thing that happens is sometimes this stuff's Canadian and no one knows it.
Oh,
But I think this was it. The premise of it, the show was kind of crazy. It was this like, kid who had this like little pet monster, like plushy toy. But when nobody was around, he could like unlock it and then it became like his friend, my pet monster. And then I think his friends knew about it. But then there was an evil monster from another dimension that was trying to come like get him. So the whole episode was like them trying to escape from the bad monster. But I loved that show. Like whenever it was on, it was like, oh yeah, let's go. So I love that. And in terms of favorite movies, uh probably thinking about 1992 when I was 11. Yes, 1992, I believe was the year Terminator 2 came out. And Terminator 2 is still one of my favorite movies, but my mom took me to it. And I remember I was a little young maybe for the violence, or at least she thought so. But we went to it, and I remember we watched the first one first. My mom was like, "Let's watch the first one so you can handle it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." And then we went and we watched Terminator 2 in the theaters, and I remember Guns N' Roses was the like theme song from the Use Your Illusion album. So that was like a big one. So I loved that movie, Terminator 2. There's this movie called Toy Soldiers with Sean Astin that I really like too. Oh, and Point Break. Point Break, yeah. I was probably too young to watch that too. But I love Point Break.
uh, yeah, I don't know them, but I'll make sure to check them out.
Yeah, well, yeah, use your mother's discretion for that one. We'll see what she thinks.
Okay.
Because yeah, they're also a little dated. I don't know. I don't know about the references. Red Hot Chili Peppers are in Point Break, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mom will let me watch almost anything. So,
Yeah. Well, you seem like you got a good head on your shoulders, and that you seem like a good kid. So that's awesome.
okay. Well, if you could tell your 11-year-old self anything at all, what would you tell him?
I think the biggest thing that I have learned through just seeing, other successful people like my age, and I'm 42 now, is like if you're passionate about something at a young age and you're really passionate about it and you really care about it, the sky is the limit. And for you, Gabe, like it seems to be music. So like you can do it. I did it. Like I am proof that you can do it. And I'm not special. Like I am a normal person. I'm not the most gifted guitar player or singer or songwriter, but I was able to work hard at it and I was able to do it. And I see so many other people in other fields. Like I have friends that became, sports announcers for their favorite teams
Oh,
because they were so passionate about that team as a child that they were so focused on it. They were like, one day I will call games for the Blue Jays. And they are, or even somebody that's in, like in the pinball field. Like I love pinball. There's a guy that just he was just so into it at a young age, and now he's the best pinball designer out there. So, there's anything that you want to do, you can learn so much about it and you can be laser focused on it. You can get there. Anybody can if they put in the time and the work and the love and they care about it. It's really is amazing. So I think anybody should realize that. And, a lot of times people get discouraged because other people will say things like, oh, well, like if you wanted to be like the like announcer for the Philadelphia Phillies, well, like, they have the same guy for like 30 years and like, it's not really an easy job to get. And like a lot of people really want that job. It's like, you know what? I believe that if you at a young age decided that you love the Philadelphia Phillies so much and that's what you wanted to do, I believe you could do it. And I think that that's the more and more I see people my age that are successful, that's the same story, that when they were at a young age and they were passionate about it and they worked really hard to learn everything about that subject and just focus on it. And I think anybody can do anything that they want to if they set their mind to it.
cool. That's really good advice. Yeah, I really want
Thank
to
you.
be in
Sorry,
a
I'm a little
band.
long-winded.
Yep. I really want to be in a band that like tours the world. That'd be really awesome. Like, so I love geography and I love music, so both of them together would just be amazing.
I also love geography too, man. And look, if I can do it, anybody can. Seriously. Yeah, just keep practicing, focus on the things that matter, which are the actual performing of the music. Don't worry so much about the like, all the flashy things, the fashion, all that. That stuff's not as important. It's the real importance is the craft and developing it and yeah. And it seems like you got a great head on your shoulders. So I'm sure one day that's probably what you'll do.
Yeah. So anything to add before we wrap it up?
Well, thanks for having me so much. I really enjoyed this. Honestly, this is one of the better interviews I've had in a while. So I really
Thanks.
appreciate the questions and you taking the time having me on the show. And yeah, we got to spread the word on this thing. We're gonna blow it up. I love it. So thanks for having me. And I guess what else to tell the people? I don't know. I have my own podcast too. If you want to hear me talk more, it's called Lead Singer Syndrome.
Yep.
It's on all the podcast networks. And my band Silverstein has a sort of new album. It's been out for like a year. It's called Misery Made Me. You can check that out too.
Yeah, I saw Andrew from Comeback Kids sings it on it, right?
Yeah, we wrote this pretty. I actually was during COVID. I was very frustrated and angry, and I just bought this JCM 800 head. I always wanted a JCM 800 head, and I found one on Craigslist, and I went and got it. And it was the middle of COVID, and I was just not in a good place, and I cranked up this amp, and I was tuned to B, and I just went uh, uh, and I was just like doing it, and then I was like, wait, maybe that's a cool riff. And I ended up kind of writing this very comeback kid-esque kind of metallic hardcore song that I called Die Alone. And I was like, well, who's the guy I should get for a guest feature? Obviously it should be Goose, Andrew from Comeback Kid. So we call him Goose. Everybody calls him Goose. And he did it and it was awesome. So yeah, it's definitely, if you're a fan of metallic hardcore, maybe a little old school, check it out. Die Alone, it's called.
Okay. Well, thanks to Shane for joining me today, and thanks to all of you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye!
Bye.